Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Yesterday, we spent some time discussing Pierre Poilievre's move to close down what he calls the gatekeepers. And in my opinion, by gatekeepers, he means the establishment, the system, the people who run things, not just in government, but just run things, or at least in some cases claim to run things, or try to run things, or more likely don't run things. This exists at every level of government. It's not good enough to just simply blame Justin Trudeau. He's just part of a system that simply in this country is just bogged down, and I don't think in many cases is working at all. Let me give you just one example. I know this is a local example for Ottawa, so some of you people in Alberta listening and in Russia or wherever you are may not have that much interest, except this is an example of what happens when government takes over, when bureaucracy takes over. You hire more and more people, do less and less things get done, more bureaucracy, more red tape. This has to do with a lovely little beach in downtown Ottawa. It's called Westboro Beach. It's on the Ottawa River. Westboro Beach has been a favorite of Ottawa residents for well over 100 years. There was a time, more enlightened times, some people would say, when streetcars used to take particularly weekend visitors out to Westboro Beach. It was a favorite entertainment place for the entire city. And since then, every nice summer day, the beach has been crowded. It's a great beach on a great river. Except this year, you couldn't get on Westboro Beach. It's been a wonderful summer here in Ottawa. I don't know what it's like where you live, but the days we've had, in fact, today is typical sort of beach day. Warm, sunny, nice breeze, just perfect for beaching it. But one of the best beaches, in fact, one of very few beaches in the entire city, don't forget, this is the capital of Canada, has been closed all summer long. There's a fence around it. Why is the fence around the beach? Hell of a good question. Apparently, the National Capital Commission, these are the bright lights that run things pretty well around the city. We've got municipal government, they don't do bugger all. We've got the NCC, they don't do bugger all, although they're supposed to. Federal government, we're so overrun with government here that it's a wonder anything gets done. And sometimes nothing does get done. So let me go back to the fence. So there's a fence all around the beach. You can't get onto the beach. A few people apparently snuck through the fence. It's a wonder they weren't shot. Why is the fence there? Well, the NCC, National Capital Commission, apparently they have some plans for the Westboro Beach. They're going to improve it. Oh, God help us when government's going to improve. You know, those are the scariest words in the world. We're from the government. We've come to help. Run for the hills. So they're going to improve it. I don't know. They're going to build a restaurant, they say, or something. But in typical fashion, particularly when government has anything to do with it, and especially here in Ottawa, guess what? Well, there were what's called supply chain problems. That's the current phraseology for we all fucked up, okay? Sorry to use the vernacular, but that's essentially what it is, okay? Everything is blamed on supply chain problems. We didn't do it right. So at any rate, nothing got built there. Nothing's been built. The fence is still there. Did they take the fence down, let people swim? No.
No.
Well, why would they do that? Well, I don't know. Nothing's being done. The beach is there. The river is there. People would love to go and swim. Yeah, but you expect us to... Well, first of all, we didn't really think to take the fence down. Well, whatever it is, we've got all of these, and I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of people, I don't know, hundreds probably, in the NCC, do bugger all day, you can be sure, except screw things up. But they're making well over 100 G's, some of them probably in the 200 or 300 bracket. Okay, they couldn't figure out how to take the fence down. In fact, they couldn't even. I can just imagine what would be involved. Going to take this fence. I mean, it's just a little fence, okay? Any farmer could take it down in an hour. Hell's bells. I'm 86. I could take her down. Just give me a couple of snips, and I'll have you open that there in 10 minutes. I'll get you in. But oh no, I can just imagine. Imagine this. Okay, we've got, I don't know, 15 executives, all of them making well over 100 G's. Suits, ties, office, corner office. We've got, the Riverview office, the whole business, okay, all of which we're paying for. So they're all sitting down, well, and they're discussing what to do about Westboro Beach. So the first guy pops up and he says, "What's Westboro Beach?" I mean, I'm just imagining what's going on because I've had dealings with these birds before. So somebody says, "Well, that's a beach there in the Ottawa." Well, where's the Ottawa River? You can be sure that somebody on that NCC, the executive, they don't know where the hell the Ottawa River is, even though they're staring at it. That's how stupid they are.
Not like it's part of Canadian history.
Oh no. And then, at any rate, whatever happened, whatever happened, the fence is still there. You can't get onto Westboro Beach. It's a beautiful day. They should be out swimming today. No. So the point that Pierre is making, and I'm making, and anybody with a brain is making is, you know what? It's time that we cut down on the bureaucracy. It's time we got rid of some of these people running around. I'll never forget talking about bureaucracy, and I'll get into this a little bit in our hospitals. I'll never forget, we were discussing, this is back in my days at CFRA before Bell Media took over.
Hey, are they in of late at all?
Oh my God, Bell Media. Lisa Laflamme, so typical, right? We'll get into that in a minute. But at any rate, I'll never forget. So we're discussing problems in the healthcare system. And a nurse called me from Brockville. She said, "I know the problem, Lowell." I said, "What's that?" She said, "There are too many high heels running around here and not enough running shoes." I said, "That's it. She's absolutely got it." Now, when we're talking about bureaucracy and how nothing can get done, nobody can seem to figure things out. Many of the executives in our hospitals are making what, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, but they can't. These people can't figure out how to get ambulance drivers and paramedics out of the hospital. There's a rule there somehow. I don't know how I don't even know if it's a rule, but you're picked up by an ambulance. You've got two paramedics, well-trained, wonderful people in those ambulances. I've had dealings with them. They're great. But when they go and they take you into the hospital, they got to stay there until you're admitted. Well, these days that can take hours. So you got two ambulance drivers, paramedics they're waiting in the hallway. In comes another ambulance, two more. In comes another ambulance, two more. So there are times, honest to God, I've seen this. There were 8. The last time I was at the Queensway, there were 8 ambulance drivers waiting for patients to get admitted. They're so stupid. These $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 people, they can't figure out. I'm going to tell you, a 5-year-old kindergarten kid could figure this out. Okay, I get a special nurse or a couple of paramedics who are there to admit, so that when the ambulance driver comes in, here's your patient, here's the record, bam, gone. We're back out again. But they can't figure that out. This is years and years and years. We're paying these guys $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, and they can't figure out that. That's the kind of bureaucracy, the gatekeepers who just are screwing things up totally. So, it's just so typical. By the way, if we're talking about the NCC, National Capital Commission, these highly paid bozos, there's some good people there. Doug Fullerton was one of the NCC who opened up the Rideau Canal into the world's longest skating rink. But you wouldn't believe the opposition he had when he did that. But I digress here. But this is the same NCC that back in the early 60s, 60, 61, 62, they bulldozed a lovely residential, well, it wasn't lovely, but it was a working person's residential community in Le Breton Flats. Hundreds of homes. It was a whole neighborhood there, mostly French Canadian, mostly working class. They'd never gotten away with it if they hadn't been French Canadians in those days. But anyway, so they bulldozed it. They got big plans. 70 years later, they're still trying to figure out what the hell to do with Le Breton Flats, probably the most valuable land in all of Canada. It's in the heart of the capital of Canada, facing the Ottawa River, and for the most part, it's just a freaking big weed field, and it's been that way since 1960. NCC. Let me tell you, let me just tell you, and one of the things, too, I must tell you that really upsets me about this Westboro beach is that we have become so sheep-like in this country that people who ordinarily would use the beach, the Westboro Community Association, apparently, have done nothing. Well, there's a statement there from somebody today. Well, he says, I think that they should have reassessed. Reassessed my ass. They should have opened it, torn the fence down. When they realized that nothing was being done, tear the fence down. But did anybody, the citizens should have stormed it. If I was a regular user or lived in Westboro, I would have said, "Hey, take down the damn fence, and if you won't, we will." But then I'm going to tell you, a few years ago, that's what would have happened. But I said, we're a bunch of sheep. Oh, there's a fence there. Well, why is that? Well, it doesn't serve any purpose. Well, tear it down. Oh no, I can't do that. I can't do that. We're being governed by, in many cases, totally incompetent, stumbling, bumbling people with stumbling, bumbling, incompetent rules and regulations, and people have become so sheep-like they're prepared to accept it. Not everybody, but far too many. Why didn't they rebel in Westboro? I didn't. John, did you know that there was a fence? You've swam it. You've been at that beach.
I've been to Westboro a lot of times. I've done a lot of photo shoots there. I mean, we used to do movies on the beach there back, in my days working for Cool FM and Bob FM. I've been there countless times, and there's already a wonderful, little canteen restaurant there. And I'd heard they were going to build a restaurant. I had no idea until you just brought it up that nobody was able to use Westboro Beach all summer long. That's a travesty.
But why? I mean, why didn't the people object? Why? I mean, why are we so sheep-like there in Westboro? For God's sake, why didn't they raise this issue and say, tear down the fence? Remember Ronald Reagan? He's in Berlin. Tear down that wall, Mr. Gorbachev, and they tore the wall down.
That's exactly what popped in my head the minute you said that too.
Ay. All right. If you've got any thoughts on any of this, I have to tell you just very briefly. We're running out of time here, but my experience with the NC, this is years ago. I am serving on West Hull Council. And at the time, the NCC is planning Highway 105. That's the 4-lane highway that now goes through to the other side of Wakefield.
Right.
We needed it desperately. So the NCC plans at the time to run this new 4-lane highway right through the little village of Farm Point, where a lot of my friends, ball players, lived. So the mayor took me. So the mayor and I forget the mayor's name, a really great guy. We went and we met one of the high officials of the NCC. His name escapes me. So the mayor lit into him and said, "You're not going to put that highway through the town of Farm Point. I'll tell you," and I'll never forget. He said, "I'll tell you right now, you try to do that and you're going to have farmers out there with pitchforks and stop it." And the little guy from the NCC looked at me and says, "Nobody's ever talked to me that way before." And I'm going to tell you exactly, sorry for the vernacular, what the mayor said. "Well, it's fucking well time they did." And so I was much calmer, but I pointed out, I said, "Listen, you can't put a highway through this village. You'll destroy the village, the livelihood of these people and everything else. There's room to go around to the west." And you know what? That's exactly what they did. They decided, because we stood up to them, and I take some credit, so does the mayor, stood up to them and said, "You're not going to do that, because what we said in effect was, we will create the kind of protest that you guys can't handle it. So you better figure out a different way." And they did, and it's much better. So all I'm saying is that, maybe it's time that some of us begin to fight back against some of this stupid bureaucracy and tore down the freaking fence. John, that's my rant for today. What have we got? What have we got waiting?
I am just relishing in the fact that there have been not one but 2 F-bombs from Lowell Green on the show today.
First time in I don't use it, but I'm using. To me, it conveys, because that's exactly what he said, and you could just see the shock. This guy'd never been talked to this way before, but it worked. The point I'm trying to make is, if you stand up to these little people, Doesn't matter how much they're making or whether they wear high heels. Stand up to them. Go ahead, John.
No, it's glorious when people, say it like it should be said. And by the way, the NCC, these are the same people who, when they do make a decision, go and make decisions like little huts that sit on the canal for 3 months of the year, worth $750,000 a piece, and we bought 11 of them.
Yeah. I raised hell about that at the time. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. This was a decision. These are little huts that where you go during the wintertime and put your skates on, get warm. Little heated huts, $750,000 each. I would love to have had the contract to do that. I wonder what liberal friend got the contract for that. Ha ha ha. Go ahead, John.
9 months a year, we put them in storage and don't do a damn thing with them. I mean, holy cripes. All right, at Danford, they did the same fenced-off beach that that would never have happened in my dad and his friends were still alive, says Nancy. Murray says, I was beginning to think you didn't give an F, but now we got 2. All right, they're loving that. To Russ, he says, swam there as a kid and just around from the beach out to the pier, then to the logs. Great fun, great memories. Boo Boo on YouTube says, apparently they're now putting paramedics in the hospitals so that the ambulance can hand over the patient and then leave for another call. This will free up the ambulances.
Well, apparently, I heard this story, and I think that maybe somebody at the Queensway Carleton Hospital figured this out. But the information I have is that these backups of ambulance still occur at both the Civic and the General. Now, I stand to be if they've made the change, but that's not the information I have. My understanding is they're still doing the same thing. Go ahead, John.
I've got friends at the paramedic department, and I will certainly inquire about that. But I see it all the time, just like you do. And I've never understood why. Why do okay? One stays, the other one gets back in the ambulance, and another, the other half of another pairing then joins that person on the ambulance. Can we not at least get one? Why does everybody have to be together? They're not married.
Well, I mean, that's one solution. To me, the solution is, look, you have a special nurse or two or whatever it takes that takes over the patient and gets them checked in and let give the ambulance drivers, let them do what they do, and that is go out and bring people into the emergency ward. That's what they do. Let them turn them free. Set them. You know what? That's what Pierre says. Set them free. Set them free, for goodness sake. Go ahead, John.
To be clear, they're not ambulance drivers. They're paramedics. And they're huge difference. And they need to be on the road doing paramedicine, exactly what they're trained for. Yeah, and I've said this before. I don't understand why, I don't know how long the paramedic course is at Algonquin College, maybe 2-3 years. But if you're a student in your final semester, would that not be an ideal internship for that type of person? That they're the ones in the hospital who then take over the babysitting, so to speak, and so that the actual paid paramedics can get back on the road and deal with people in need.
It's because we're stuck in a system and people are just reluctant to change the system.
Can't find
I mean, common sense says, for example, that you shouldn't have to go to a hospital, sit in the emergency ward because you need a knee replacement, all right, or a hip replacement. There should be a special clinic where people specialize in that. That's all they do. I mean, it is so obvious that anybody with a grade 2 education or an IQ beyond that of a turbo snail would understand. John, go ahead, please.
The number here is 613-413-2217. You can call, you can text. We're on Facebook, on The Lowell Green Milkman Show, and Blast the Radio. Also on Twitch and also on YouTube. Keep the comments coming in. And I love you. I've only read the first couple of words of your comment, but I love you already. She says, Ottawa is the only city in the world where we don't capitalize on our waterways. Amen. And encourage businesses to set up alongside them. Case in point, Ottawa River, Rideau River, and the canal. Unbelievable that the only restaurants along the picturesque waterway are the Canal Ritz and the restaurant at the Arts Centre. I love that she can't even name it. We are so stupid here. Look at Melbourne, Australia, and even Halifax in this country. Look at Brockville. Look at Kingston. You don't have to go far. Gorgeous waterfront area with tons of restaurants along them. It's the stupid NCC standing in the way of that.
And if it is, Gananoque is a tiny, tiny little town. And I mean, they're right on the St. Lawrence River, and they all. I'm glad she mentioned Halifax. Halifax, you got a boardwalk all along the river there, with restaurant after restaurant after restaurant,
and museums and places for the kids to play, and they do festivals, and
But
Well,
we've got the NCC here, which for 70 years couldn't figure out figure out what to do with LeBreton Flats and still can't.
you know what we can
Anyway.
figure out? Where to get great appliances. Lowell, where would that be?
Only one place as far as I'm concerned, up in Pakenham. Okay. You don't have to go to Pakenham. Pakenham will come to you. They've got a huge warehouse there. They tell me that 90% of all the appliances you could possibly want, they have in stock. Very fair price, very competitive pricing. They have the cost of operation in Pakenham's a little bit lower. Whenever they can, they pass those savings on to you. They got a great finance plan. And now, in addition to the appliances, furniture as well, they are now a registered dealer for Sony. So, and you went through everything that Sony makes. They're now available at Shields as well. Give them a call, folks. Check out their website, shields.ca. It's a good website. Anybody can use it. You'll see everything that you could possibly want, including the prices, the colors, etc., etc. Shields.ca. Go ahead, John.
Kat says years ago, the hospitals were supposed to have hired special nurses to take over the responsibility of the patients, thus freeing up the paramedics for what they're supposed to do, bring patients to the hospital. Let's go to text, 613-413-2217. Lowell, all levels of government are huge entities that require huge amounts of money to run, especially with their lawmaking and upholding these multiple laws, as well as their social programs that they offer, as well as continue to add. This, along with the mishandling and, in some cases, corruption of these programs, with nobody responsible to take the blame, combined with the unions who contribute to perpetuate the problems, we do need a reset to change the social structure and way of thinking. Oof.
Let me give you another example. We're talking about hospitals a little bit here. Let me give you an example of where a lot of money could be saved in the hospitals. There are any number of people who would love to volunteer. My wife volunteered at the Queensway Carlton for many, many years. They let all of the volunteers go for a while because of the pandemic. But what am I trying to say? They are even today. They are paying people to do things like hand out masks, screen at the entrance. They are paying these people to do what volunteers would be happy to do, want to do. And I know is happening certainly at the Queensway, with which I'm familiar, and I'm sure that it's happening at other hospitals. There are a lot of jobs in these hospitals that volunteers would love to do and are fully qualified to do, but they are paying people to do instead. How much of this is union? I don't know. But I mean, here we are. Our hospitals are starved for money, et cetera, and they are paying all kinds of people for jobs that could and should be done by volunteers. Just as one example, folks, if we had somebody with some guts, with some innovation, with some get up and go, as my grandpa used to say, we would solve these problems. Go ahead.
Let's go to Twitch. Satan's Playmate wonders what developers' hands are in the city's pockets regarding the fence at Westboro. Penny says you should drive out to Shirley's Bay. Boy, they sure screwed that up. I'd love more information on exactly how they screwed that up.
Yeah,
Penny.
what did they screw up there?
Yeah. Don't leave us hanging. Don't tease us like that. Bill says people put these people in power, then they complain. People are as stupid as these elected morons. Except NCC people are not elected, are they?
No, it's strictly political appointments.
Yeah, and they're supposed to represent different parts of the country, too, so that they get their input into the vision for their capital.
Well, that's why I said I was being only partly facetious when I said that one of the guys spoke up and said, "Where's the Ottawa River?"
Yeah.
Because there are people here from other parts who know nothing about Ottawa, its history, et cetera, supposed to represent the country. But the consequences are nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. Go ahead, John.
I would have them take a test. If you can't say Rito properly, you don't deserve to be on the NCC. That makes me batshit crazy.
No, you know what? They have to say Gazabajua.
Okay. Okay. Christy says our city's so beautiful in the summer. Why aren't we using our full potential and promoting our waterfront and river for to us who live here and tourists? I just don't get it. Murray says they can't leave until you attend. Oh, this is regarding the paramedics. They can't leave until you're attended to, and it's the same rate across Canada, he says. Of course, he's out west, I believe, in Saskatchewan. Bill says, government rule, cover your ass and don't make a decision. Kat says, looks like Michael Melling was responsible for firing Lisa. Better get his act together and fire this misogynistic bully. We touched on Lisa Laflamme a little bit.
Let me just deal with that. This is wrong. What Bell Media did here, they have the right to get rid of people. Obviously, they were paying her a lot of money and decided they didn't want to do this. But Lisa Laflamme, whether you agree with her politics or whatever, she has done a good job. She has been, I think, one of the preeminent journalists in our country. All what I'm saying is she deserved a lot better than that. This perfunctory firing, no reasons given, etc., etc., put with a gag order on for a month.
June 29th, she was told.
This is unconscionable to treat people like this. This is not the Canada that most of us grew up in. I mean, this is just not right. It's okay. Somebody in Bell Media has got the power to do it. Good for you. But you know what? You may have power, but you don't have any class. It's a totally classless move that was on behalf of Bell Media. And it doesn't surprise me. Go ahead, John.
Now, I know when I was let go from Bell Media, there was a certain period of time that if I wanted to accept my severance, there was a certain period of time where I could not compete. That was part of the deal. I'm sure you had the same thing. What kind of a no-compete clause do you think someone of her tenure and her position would face? Because
God knows.
She couldn't be on Global or CBC tomorrow, could she?
God knows. It would depend. I mean, this would all be negotiated. You can be sure she got a very good severance, but that's not the issue. To me, money is not the issue here. It's just the way you treat people. You just don't treat people like that. Not people who have served you well, okay? She served her employer well. She served the country well. She deserved a hell of a lot better. The next thing we'll be doing, we'll be tearing down statues to Lisa Laflamme. Country's going to hell in a handbasket, folks. Go ahead, John.
They certainly let Lloyd Robertson have his, farewell.
That was a different world then, wasn't it? Yep. There was class involved there.
You and I both worked for the Chum Group. There was a lot of class back.
Class. Let me tell you the difference. Alan Waters was the owner of Chum. Yep. Very fine gentleman. One of our senior employees was let go. I won't tell you who was let go. So Alan said, "What did we pay him?" And for severance. And they said they gave him, it was a really good figure. And he said, "You know what? He served this country, this company very well. Double it." That's the difference. Yep. That's the difference. Go ahead, John.
I miss the Waters family in a big, big way.
Yep.
Very, very well with Jim.
Class. Lots of class.
That apple did not fall far from the tree. It's a different business now. It really is. And I don't like it. I accept it. I understand it. And I certainly, I see the buzz from it. And there's so much I want to say, but it's just, I can't. It's not what it used to be. We'll leave it at that. Ann says, I don't understand why Lisa Laflamme was fired. She seems totally liberal, and doesn't Bell Media almost require that in employees? Penny says, sorry, huge rocks to guide you and your boat. This is back to Shirley's base. Huge rocks to guide you and your boat to the water. You drive your car there now. You have to park in a fancy parking lot, and I can't tell you the rules and regulations. Okay, so apparently a lot of...
How do you have a fancy park? I've never seen a fancy parking lot. What is a fancy parking lot?
Glitter. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Greg says, I was not a fan of Lisa. However, I agree. Bell Media has no class at all. Joshua says, Lloyd left only 10 or so years ago. How quickly things have changed. Boo Boo has a suggestion. He's on YouTube. He says, if you took the fence from the Westboro beach and put it around the NCC office building, that would keep the idiots in their offices and away from the intelligent population who love that beach.
Very good idea, Boo Boo. Very good idea, sir.
Boo Boo. I'd love to know
who the hell is Boo Boo?
I don't know.
I don't know. He probably designed the fancy parking lot. Go ahead.
With glitter. Oh, they're calling you. They're not calling the show. 613-413-2217 is the number.
You know what? I have to go. This is the Heart Institute.
All right. Well, all right.
Signing off a little early. Thank you all, folks. Bye.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.